Good morning, everybody. I've had a very rough start to my day, so I am a little behind on my day for right now, but I'll get it caught up. Um, just the kids are on fall break, and so they're not used to break, meaning they still have chores to do. So they are having a rough start to their morning, too. They think that being on break means they should be able to spend all of their time on their electronics. And I understand that because that's how it used to be when we lived in the city and they'd get breaks from school. They'd be able to go play on their computer, play on their laptop, play on their Kindles, play video games. But there's a lot to get done around here before it gets really truly cold. And they're out working on that stuff now. Um, I have laundry to do today. I want to get some baking done today. I defrosted a big bag of pumpkin puree to use up. I'm also working on getting the kitchen area cleaned up and reorganized again. I need to get our bedroom completely cleaned and organized so we're able to get our doors on. And I also need to get all of the grading work done for the kids because they're at the end of their first 9 weeks of school. So that is my week this week. Lots to do, lots of organizing, lots of things that need my attention. So I will check with you guys throughout the day. We'll see what we get done today. Sorry, the dog's having an itching fit right now, if you hear that in the background. But I will check with you guys later. Have a good one.
Well, we've gotten the wood burner going this morning, or at least I'm hoping it's still going. I'm going to be working on getting some nesting boxes using the 1/4 inch off of the shelving. And we're going to readjust how many, cages we're going to be putting in so that I can have a little bit more room to do the nesting boxes, and so that, mainly so that I have more room to do the nesting boxes without completely taking over the flooring of the cage. But that's where I'm focusing on at the moment. Okay, so bouncing back and forth with a few different thoughts. One is that, not so much thoughts, it's schools of thought. One is that with rabbits, all you need is a box that kind of shape just for the sake of giving them somewhere to get into and nestle down. The other is pretty much a fully enclosed box with an opening so that they can get in and out of. Going with the fully enclosed with an opening, I suppose it wouldn't be fully enclosed, a mostly enclosed with an opening for them to enter and exit through. The other part in that is the size of the actual cage. Now, depending on what you're using the rabbits for, there's the thought process of a 2-foot square with a complete open area so that they have plenty of room to move, explore, play. The other school of thought tends to be that they just need bare minimum room. And a lot of that actually comes down to what the rabbits are being used for. Meat rabbits tend to be more along the bare minimum side. Pet rabbits tend to be 2 foot as a bare minimum, and just gets much more elaborate from there. currently want to give the rabbits a little bit of room, want to be able to let them explore, or not really explore, there's not going to be much to explore, but it'll give them a little bit of room to move around. And then there's also the aspect of, if you have, like, this is 18 by 18. If I were to put a box in this, it'd be this a little bit smaller than what is in the hutch in the barn right now. But if I'm trying to put a 16-inch nesting box in here, it's going to leave 2 inches on one side. And if it's 16 by 12, which is what I'm looking at, got 6 inches there. That doesn't give them much of anything. Thought about going through and cutting down on the amount of, and you can barely see it back there, but the amount of cages that we were going to put into what I've already cut and bent. Try and open it up a little bit, but figure the easiest thing and the best thing to do is actually going to be to put a hole in the back side of the actual cage and have the nesting box attached to the back side. That'll allow us to do 5 cages at 18 by 18 inch or 18 inch cube, and then a 16 by 12 nesting box off of the back side, which will open up the amount of room they have, make things easier to deal with on multiple levels. But this is all stuff I'm still toying with in my head. So that's kind of where I'm at the moment. Now it's just a matter of making a solid thought out of it and a solid plan of action. Also going to be cutting down on the boarding that I used. What I did for the other nesting boxes that I've made, I used 5/8 thick board. These are 1/4 inch, which, yeah, it's got a little bit of play to it, but I'm gonna have to put a little bit of framing in anyways, so that'll help support it, and it will have to have something that it'll sit on to hold it up off the back end. But that's kind of where I'm at right now. All right, I'm bouncing between the smoker and working on the nesting boxes today. So I don't know exactly where I'm going to end out, but this is a 16 by 12, and this will be either the top or the bottom of the actual nesting box. And then I had a small piece, but I seem to have misplaced it, of the same thing that I'm using for the frame. So I'm gonna have to figure out what I did with that because I want to gauge it for size. I want to say, yeah, there it is. That's 8 inch. So I'm wondering, yeah, I think that would be enough. Tack that onto the actual pieces that I have for the sides. That'll actually open it up to be about 9 inches total. And then, what was I thinking? Be 7, about a 6 inch opening. And I'm going to want something to, well, I got to finish doing the edge working for the frame, but I want to put a small lip here so that any of the little ones that might be in here won't just help themselves out. And then I got to get it set up so that I can attach it and figure out how it's going to attach. Problems to deal with as I'm going. Okay. Mr. Brown and I were talking before he left, wanting to try and windproof this, and gonna run into a few problems with the initial idea. Trying to overlap, especially with the boards being a little bit warped, is actually going to create more air flow. So I got to figure out how to get around that. Also mentioned doing like we had done for the smoker, but that doesn't give me pretty much anything error wise. Yeah, you can see that warp. I didn't catch that when I measured it out to cut it. I should have. But moving on. Alright, I got to figure out how to eliminate the airflow. I did go through and do a little bit of reinforcing off the bottom, just because the boards being 1/4 inch, I wanted to make sure that didn't have to worry about a bow. So that's been reinforced and that's good to go. But, oh, that's going to frustrate me. And I know the answer is like right in front of me. I'm just not seeing it at the moment. So I need to go check on the smoker, which will give me a second to walk away, try and get my thought process back, and go from that. Well, I figured out how to get around that. I added a couple of slats. And that has, well, to the best that I can tell, has eliminated any kind of gap. So that'll work, and by going with just the slats instead of the full width, the same as any of the other boards, that also keeps it a little bit lighter. So, well, honestly, it's not going to be heavy anyways, but a little bit lighter is always a good thing. And that'll be the back wall. But figured I'd share. Okay. Alright. So there are probably a couple of features in this that are actually no good or useless, like the little handle. But for right now, because I do not have the hinges, I have gone through and pretty much made that a little, well, snug, and it just sits on there. Probably, yeah, like I said, not the most ideal thing, but I'll be able to put a couple of small hinges in there, and then it'll be, and the opening. Gave it 5 inches by 6 3/4, which is actually a little bit bigger than what I was aiming for. I was hoping for a 5 by 5 square, and then I got this piece on and realized that I needed it down in that range. But that pretty much becomes then it is what it is. Where I added the boards on the back side, I actually did that all the way around, just as a precaution. Pardon me. And not worried about this. That's just there as a little bit of extra to keep it from bowing. But that's the box that I'm going to need to attach to the backside. Okay.
So I forgot to take a video of the bowl full of our prepared garlic, but Brenna's out getting the rest of the garlic that Mr. Brown wanted planted in the ground. I had bought some seed garlic from Fruition Seeds, and you guys saw the video previously where we planted all of that. Mr. Brown bought some organic garlic just from the grocery store, and we're planting 6 heads of that, and then plus a head of garlic that he got locally from a farm at the produce auction. So with all that we've already planted plus what she's planting now, hopefully we have plenty of garlic come next summer. Alright everybody, just closing out the video. I know everything kind of cut off last night. I started to not feel so great and needed to lay down for a little bit. So the kids stepped up and got dinner on the table. We had tacos and rice for dinner. It's pretty good. Piper was happy. Excuse me. That's one of her favorites because she gets to eat chips with all of the things on them. But that's where we ended for the night. Like I said, my allergies are starting to kick in with the temperatures going up and down the past couple of days. We had those nights where we were down in the 20s, and now we're back up in the 60s throughout the day. And the mold and everything from the leaves falling gets my allergies going every year. So we're going to get done what we can, but probably this week is just going to be rough. We'll catch you guys on the next video, and you have a good day.